Dun, dun. Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today, I'm doubling down 2 live streams, 2 different times. And I'm actually responding to a question in the comments from the earlier live stream from Fang Drag commented. And I thought to myself, I got a little bit of time this afternoon. I don't know what time it is for most of you out there, but a lot of people will say, I didn't get to catch your live stream. I always miss them. So I'm just offering a different time slot randomly here. We'll see how it goes. How can you disconnect from your ex successfully? First of all, I need to know, what is success to you? That's a good question. Number 2, I would need to know, what do you mean by disconnect? To never talk to them again? Because it means different things to different people. We always have to remember that, okay? So, how can you disconnect? Well, it starts with no contact. It starts with cutting off all access. All access. And I think people think, well, I don't want to block them. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. If you're going to disconnect from someone, it's got to be everything. And you don't disconnect because you think it's going to somehow erase a memory or hurt. So the idea that, I think a lot of people get caught in this. If I disconnect, I'll lose them. So what I would ask you to write down is, I'll disconnect from my ex because. I don't want to disconnect from my ex because. And then you'll get your answer. The reason why you're not doing it is fear. But disconnect means cutting off all communication lines, correct? So is it that hard? Is it that hard? I don't know. But for me, years ago, when I was in I'm talking about a bad breakup. It's not, only in bad breakups do you consider doing this. Because the alternative is, when you interact, right? Let me put this on my Discord real quick. When you interact, it's painful. So this is what I tell people a lot of times. Your interactions with your partner, your interactions with your ex, or whether you are on the skids or you're in a gray area where you're taking a break, you have to really take inventory after you talk to someone and say, how do I feel after that shit? And if the conversations or the texts are making you feel ill, anxiety-ridden, depressed, upset, well then, what's the alternative? And people want to make you feel like they feel. Okay, so ask what you are holding on to. That's a good question. And a lot of times, I would say the number one answer is, I don't want to give up on the relationship. We put so much into it, and not in those words. In other words, we've been together so long, I don't want to waste it. I get it. But if you want to disconnect, then it just takes all available areas where you're connected. And the number one people cheat on over and over again, and I would say is probably one of the more consistent areas of trouble for all breakups. If you're like, what's something you come across again and again and again and again and again? Social media. Specifically Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere where you can watch someone's life from afar. And you don't realize that you're passively watching their life. And then if you have individuals that suddenly do things out of character on social media, they really got you. So that would be the number one thing that you could do to disconnect from your ex successfully, is to cut off all social media, erase their phone number. This is something I did years ago because I had my ex in the phone, and this is right when Facebook started. This is how long ago it was, but I erased the phone number. So it wasn't even an option. I didn't have the phone number memorized because I had it in there for so long, right? So just erase the number. When you erase the number, and I was just talking to Jesse, who's on the live stream today, about let's say you have a TikTok account and you have an app on your phone, you need to erase the app. If you're using the app for, some people go, oh, I got 20,000 followers, I use it for business, I got a following. Okay, that's a fair excuse. If you just casually look at TikTok, it doesn't mean a whole lot to you, erase it. And then in a month or 2 months, 3 months, you can come back to it. But when you're in a moment where you get home from work and you think, I'm bored right now, I just kind of want to, kick, and you open up your phone, you go, oh, I'm going to check TikTok, and then tic-tac-toe, it leads you to your ex, and then you just, it's like crack cocaine for a crack addict. It's New Jack City. It's a little pooky. As soon as you get a little piece of that hit where you go, oh, shit, look what she did. And it doesn't even have to be something that is necessarily a post that they meant to affect you. But right now you miss them, and anything they do you take as a trigger or a puzzle piece, and the assumptions start running through your head of, well, they meant this, they want this, they did that, they did this, but I can't call them. See, to me, when you break up, and if it's a breakup where you're not going to make up anytime soon, there were some ill feelings at the end, there were some bad things said, I don't want to see their picture. It doesn't mean I hate them. It just means that it'll make you more emotional and triggered. So when someone says, how do you disconnect from your ex successfully? Start with that. The second part of the question, really quick, let me pull this up. Second part of the question, if I can find it. I've tried working and progressing on my goals, but even then my thoughts end up circling back to them. Of course, that's completely normal. And if you haven't had that before, it also is a case of, what do you have going on in your life right now? I've talked about this many times. If you're living alone, or you don't have a whole lot to do from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night, that's going to be a time that you used to talk and used to find comfort in each other. You're going to think about them. You're not going to be able to get amnesia in a week. And so this individual also wrote LDR breakup. LDR breakups, good news is, I'm sorry, I find them easier to get over than someone that you lived with or someone lives 10 minutes away. So that's a positive. But we all think, how can you disconnect from your, well, make one domino step, and then the next step, and the next step. Don't necessarily block them, because I think a lot of people, I'm finding more and more, have this negative connotation about that. If you can't do that, then just erase the whole app and go on a social media fast. I've talked about this many times. Ask what you are holding on to. Good question, Mr. Jesse Chapman. Jasper J. Marcello, I hope Hawaii's treating you well. What a privilege to live on that island, huh? Finally, I'm at the start of a live chat, MC. Good to see you on deck. Let me know if you have any specific questions, and I hope you're doing well. So I'm going to pull up, I have another comment that was made earlier. Hi, Mac. Are you suggesting that if we broke up because the border closure and with uncertainty on when we can fly to each other again, then it's okay to break no contact? So someone asked me on this a different post. Especially if it was a mutual and ended in good terms, or the person who initiated the breakup should reach out first. If a breakup ends on good terms and it's long distance, I would want to talk to you about it. But you definitely still want some time. You still want some time to reflect on why it happened. But whenever you have a long distance relationship, the burning question's always got to be, well, when are you going to move to one of each other's city? You're going to rekindle things while you're far apart, because I always feel like if you do break up, it's hard to get back together, because one of the ways to get back together is to get intimate or affectionate, right? And if you can't do that, and you're just doing phone and text, it's more of an uphill battle, right? So people say that to me a lot of times. Well, we're in a long distance. If we do this and that, the distance is the number one problem. And if you don't have trust, if it had anything to do with trust or not seeing each other enough, those two things have to be sacrificed in a long distance relationship. Now, your circumstances, like due to a border closure and uncertainty on when we could fly to each other again, yeah, you guys can talk again. You guys can talk again, but that's not going to solve the immediate problem, right? So I believe that a lot of times when people get back together, it's inevitable that they might break up again if they're ignoring patching up the problem, right? The whole point of getting back together is someone coming back to the plate and realizing why you broke up. I just had someone recently tell me, oh, I was going to break up tonight. And then the next day they're like, oh, we just made up. And I was like, well, I'll tell you what, if you have a serious issue where you're on the verge of breaking up, and I've had a couple past clients call me up when they have new girlfriends and they talked to me a year ago, 2 years ago, and they're like, look, I'm thinking about breaking up, but I want to talk to you first. I think it's one of the best moves you can make. Really, seriously, that's highly valuable, because that's real time where I can unpack. Because once you break up, it's hard to come back. People are dug in once they broke up. It's not that easy just to make up. Because that part where you do feel that fucking pain, that part where you really, really feel that pain, you don't want to feel it again, so you're not so quick to jump back in. But if you can avert actually going through with it and knowing why it's going to happen or why things are on the rocks, but you also should still talk to myself or someone else about what's going on, because something caught you off guard that you weren't paying attention to. So when you say inevitable that we'll break up again, do you not think it would be okay to unpack everything with the person, or does it cause a problem person depending? It's not always inevitable to break up again, but it's more likely to be inevitable if when you get back to it. Sometimes people ignore that nothing was fixed, right? Or someone says sorry when they're not really sorry. So let's say that someone in the relationship had jumped to conclusions and accused you of flirting with someone at work. So we're not even talking about full-blown cheating. We'll call it emotional cheating, as some people call it. You break up and someone says, you're just too jealous, I can't deal with it. You get back together, they say sorry, but you know it's their nature and character to be jealous. They've been like that for years, right? They've been like that for years. Then you get back together and someone says sorry. Is sorry going to erase a character trait of jealousy? Jealousy comes from a lack of trust and insecurity. So jealousy can be insecurity and a lack of just trust based on your actions. If it's a high level of jealousy, a lot of people blame the other person for their jealousy. If you're really jealous because of the way a person acts, let's say your girlfriend's highly flirtatious, and when she drinks, she's really flirtatious. You might have met women like this, or friends, girlfriends that are like this, right? And you're like, oh shit, Cassie's drunk right now and she's all over the place and she's she's all over every guy. It doesn't mean she's sleeping with him, but she's got her arm around him. She's just being flirtatious. And the thing is, men are animals. So a guy will spot that from afar in the room, and they'll not know his boyfriend's there, or they might know that he's there. They go, okay, wounded. I got a wounded over here. I'm going to take advantage of this. And they'll start flirting with the girl, or the woman, excuse me. Now, these kind of situations are public, and someone could blame it on the alcohol. Someone can blame it on the alcohol and go, oh, I was just drunk, but it's still goddamn embarrassing, right? And it's still, guys are like, oh, she was down to hook up with me, or she seemed interested, right? I had a friend like this. His girlfriend, they were in a monogamous, good relationship. If she got drunk, she might leave with someone. She left with another guy at a wedding and was just wasted. I mean, how you know what I mean? How do you define that? If you get back together and she says sorry, right? Is that problem probably going to happen again? Yeah. Especially if the individual's young and they just say sorry and they have some bullshit excuse. And you taking them back, you've just set an expectation that if they ever want to break up, they'll just say sorry. And sometimes people believe like, oh, I won't do that again. You're being naive. And those are situations where I'm like, it's inevitable, because something that bad later on, when you have a problem with them or you're upset with them, you'll always remember, yeah, remember that time when you left the wedding with the other guy? You'll always bring it up. And that's why I'm saying it's inevitable to break up when stuff is that deep. And it's just not, sometimes it's not, wounds aren't fixable. They're just not. So I know I'm finally over the breakup now after he texted me this week, and I just didn't feel any need to reply. We'll keep up with the videos, gym, work, and friends, and get on with my own life feeling good. MC, I'm happy to hear that. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for being a part of it. And, you know, I think that's, how long was he not contacting you? And I'd also say, this is a curious question, because this is something that I've noticed really gets people, is when someone leaves you on red, where they basically tell you, I read your message, but I don't care. It drives people nuts, even friends, right? Hi, Max, saw it coming. He kept accusing me of talking to other people. He was the one talking to other women. Not always true, but commonly true. Someone that accuses you of certain bad behavior is actually doing it themselves. It's called projecting. Right, got you, Matt. Cassie wants to get her freak on. Cassie, you flirty lush. Lindertube, what's up? I know, right? Sorry, Cassie had 3 guys last night. I don't know where that name came from. It was just a random thought. But getting back to this, disconnecting with your ex is gonna, the problem is that it's gonna take some hurt. It's gonna take some uncertainty. It's gonna be all those things, right? If you haven't contacted myself or contacted another coach or talk to someone about it that you trust and respect, that's a good first step. You really got to get everything out. I can't stress that enough. I mean, even if you don't get it out and you don't have the extra money, or you don't want to pay for someone to talk online, or you're private, at least write out your story so you can get it organized and out of your head. I just had someone recently contact me, and they're asking me, you know, for help and different things. I said, well, if you don't want to, at least write out your story and get it out of your head and organize your thoughts. Well, I don't know what to write. How do I write it? I'm just let it flow. Put and start from the beginning of whenever the problem started, or what, you know, just get it all out of your head. The unfortunate thing is your emotion will stay triggered on one thought, and that's no progress. When you write a story, you get it out and you go to the next thought, and then you go to the next thought, and then you can connect some dots. And if you really don't like writing, then you need to talk to someone. But unfortunately, when people talk, they're a little bit less they're they're a little bit less apt to be organized in their thoughts because people tend to interrupt them, or they just give snippets if they're not a person that can go on and on. I can go on pretty quickly because I process quick when I talk. It got on my nerves so bad, accusing me. Well, I mean, the funny thing about that is, do you feel like you were guilty of something? So if someone starts accusing you of something, or they claim that you're being flirtatious, do you agree with them, or do you see where they're coming from? If you don't at all, then you don't need to say sorry, and you need to have a serious talk and nip it in the butt. But if you feel like, actually, you know what, I kind of was flirting with this guy, then you need to address that, or I was being disrespectful. But you have to ask yourself, or is it just some people just think that relationships, part of being in relationships is jealousy. It isn't. There are people out there that aren't jealous. Are there moments, if you're with an attractive partner, that you're going to be jealous? Sure. But hopefully it's one of those moments that you're also a little bit proud of the fact that, you know, other people are interested in who you're with. That's part of the game of being with someone that's a catch. Anyone have any open-ended questions? Feel free to shoot. He admitted he had been hurt in the past, being hurt by other. Well, there you go. There's your answer. There's your trail of red blood. It's that simple, really. Someone's been cheated on before, and now they think, I better get out in front of this every time I'm with someone in the future because people cheat. Happens all the time. I was just at a barbecue dinner with some friends and extended friends, and the guy was like, oh, you do breakup coaching or whatever? He's like, that's awesome. Looked up my channel. He's like talking to me a little bit. And then I was like, yeah, you know, and he's like, it's one of those guys. He's always got a new girlfriend, whatnot. I've met him before. Cool dude. Not a problem with women, but he doesn't stay in relationships very long after, you know, no more than a year, et cetera, et cetera. But I said, he goes, yeah, I always get women that cheat or I can't trust. And I said, well, what happened with your parents? Oh, well, my parents got divorced when I was young, and my dad. It's just too easy. So then you don't even realize it, but you're actually filtering for the same situation because it's familiar. That's the part that's crazy. The familiarity of it is actually more comfortable than you realize. You kind of think like, oh, I wouldn't want to have that happen again. But the reality is, even if you meet someone that's a good match, that's not going to do that to you, you're going to create situations where you accuse them of it and push those people away. That's just how it works. It's kind of like, to dumb it down, it's as simple as, let's say someone makes spaghetti, right? And spaghetti's made 1,000 different ways. And you make spaghetti, and they make spaghetti, and your grandma makes spaghetti, and it all tastes different. And someone claims that you don't know how to make it correctly. Why is that? Because the way that they like it, the way that they first tasted it and liked it, is the way they know it to be. Now, here's the reverse of that. What if the first time they had spaghetti, it was absolutely disgusting and someone made it with tomato sauce? Or, excuse me, ketchup. I've heard of this before. It was someone told me that spaghetti was served with ketchup at a table. It was at a friend's house, they said. What if that was your first experience? Right? So, if that's the case, you never eat spaghetti again. All actions that are bizarre to you, if someone's easily triggered by anger, if someone's the type to easily punch someone in the mouth because they get upset, it's all related to something that happened to you before, and you're reacting to it impulsively now. Exactly. I asked him, are you trying to get rid of me? Then recently he said his calling will call you back. He said his Calling will call you back. Heard him talking to another woman. I don't understand what you mean by that. Well, one thing that you see again and again and again, and people don't even know they're doing it. There's a big faction of people that just go, all men and all women do this. What they're saying is translation, this is what happened to me, and this is what happens to everyone else in the world. And what I would add, another thing that's really popular right now is grabbing information from research or surveys, but not really saying where the research or surveys came from. I heard someone on a YouTube recently saying that, and he said this with like the utmost confidence, that he goes, I ask women, what do you think the percentage of men that are sexually active is? What do you think it is? He didn't say in the world. He didn't say in the state. He didn't say in the country. He had a podcast. He's got a big audience. And I thought to myself, I mean, what study is this? And he said 10% of the male population, 10 to 20%. And he was so excited to share this as such shocking information. I thought to myself, how could this be accurate? How could that be accurate unless it's, you have to say what city, what town, and what age group. But people throw out like, oh, I got numbers, oh, I got research, but they don't explain where the research came from. There's, 6, 7, 8 billion people in the world, give or take, and people are like, there's a study conducted with 5,000 people. It's like, really? And by the way, anything with intimacy or relationships, I'm like, what's the percentage of people that you think lie on the survey? I'm not sure. This is a big one, though, now. Oh, all men do this because I read it in a survey. Well, that's a good way to limit you. All women do this. When you hear people go, oh, women are like that, they're actually telling you what's happened to them. They're telling you why would they believe that if it didn't happen to them already? Right? A big one now, too, is that all women are looking for too good of guys online or something like that. That's another one that's on again, off again. That I'm saying that in the wrong light, but that there's dating apps are so messed up right now. It's an avenue that works for some people and doesn't work for some people. There's a certain style to getting to using it. But these are individual experiences by people that don't like using them. I texted him and told him off. Liar. His son was calling. This was another comment earlier today. Hi, Mac. I like your videos. You're the only person who discuss a lot about LDR breakups. Do you really suggest so the breakup closure? I'm sorry, I already mentioned this one. Let's pull that back. Someone wrote, you look like a Western movie actor. It's kind of funny with YouTube, some of the comments. A Western movie actor. Thanks. I'll take that as a compliment. All thanks to Dr. Imar on YouTube that helped me get my ex back. It's amazing how many of these get your ex back WhatsApp me, and then you can spy on your ex, go on these YouTube comments. Listening to the stories here really helps self-reflection, and after some time, I started properly doing self-work. I hope most men are not like my ex. Well, I'm going to tell you something, MC. Just realizing that right now, catch yourself when you get in conversations with friend, family, and colleagues, and you start going, oh, all men are like this. Catch yourself, because all you're saying is what the last man or the last couple men, and it's just not true. And what's lost in all of it is where you live and where you work and where you interact and where you're meeting these people. She's like, I was joking. Ha, 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 ha. Where do you live in the world, MC? If I may ask. Heard the woman boy said son was calling last combo. He was busted. I'm confused, hippie chick. I'm in a very painful situation. I make a mistake. The girlfriend I love the most. I mean, we both attracted in romantic view. We not say friends and love like friends. That's a hard one to understand. What if she wishes you Easter after a happy Easter after 3 or 4 days of the breakup? Should I respond or not? People really get caught up on birthday stuff. They really get caught up on birthday, Easter, Christmas. It's a real turning point. All these comments are code of fallacy. Been wished to hire one hacker to help me out and been scared to get scammed. But after a great series about rob and hack, jeez, these people are unbelievable. I'd never take a girl back if she'd been with someone else. F that. No ego or nothing, but nah. Well, it is ego. Don't want to deal with those thoughts. It's just a choice. It's your values and your morals, and you feel like once that happens, you can move on. I suspected my wife of cheating on me, but I never had any proof. This went on for months. I didn't know what to do. I was so paranoid, and I did find a solution. So these are one of those things they're trying to sell you. I just unblocked her again. She never blocked me this time. It's so confusing. Why'd you unblock? Why do you unblock and block again? That's a really good question. I'm 4 weeks pregnant. I kicked my husband because he don't have time for me. That's a tough one. If you want your ex-boyfriend friend back, if you want your husband wife back, you want a promotion in your office or a place of work, you want women or men to run after you. Wow, this one's weird. Very interesting topic. I think you forgive for yourself to move on from, but that doesn't mean you need to continue with them. I'm not sure if my ex will come back. No one's ever sure. If a girlfriend dumps you guys, you have to assume she's gone forever. She most likely gave you same BS on why she dumped you, but she most likely found another dude. If you want to... Somewhat mutual breakup with a girlfriend of 6 years today. She has too many particulars. Only see her 1 day a week. Feel too much distance. Too many incompatibilities. Not sure what I'm going to do yet. Sounds like there's a problem with connection there. What's on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your intimacy? On an attraction? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your connection? On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your trust? Linder tube. I'm also worried she's Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs. God, I used to love Cocoa Puffs as a kid. Care about and love her, but we're both tired of the struggle. Never seems to end. Well, love in a relationship shouldn't be a struggle. I don't mind a few fights and arguments, but it shouldn't be a struggle. That means you're trying to pull each other in different directions. You're just not compatible. Okay, thanks for listening. He just wanted to have someone tell him how wonderful he was. Don't we all want to be told we're wonderful? Old England, huh? Well, this would be a better time in England right now. That's why Mr. Jesse's on. God, these things, when you do a live stream, it's like off and on, off and on. Coach Mac, it doesn't seem to hurt any less even when you initiate the breakup. The guy would hang up on me. Then there was a disagreement. After 5 times of enduring this, I said, we will not speak again. I'm agonizing whether I did the right thing or not. I wrote back, what's the alternative if someone's hanging up on you regularly? That's not fun. I don't know if I've ever been hung up on in a relationship. I'm serious. If I've gotten that hot over an issue. It's definitely one of those things where the person's saying, I don't want to listen to this anymore. I'm not going to engage in this. All right, folks, I just wanted to come on for a few minutes, get a pulse out there, talk about how you can disconnect from your ex, interact with some people that maybe this isn't a time that they get to talk as much. So if you have I have about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Does anyone have any questions or topics you want me to talk about in the future? Someone wrote, the thing I like about this channel over those others you mentioned is that those others make you obsess over your ex more. This one's more moving on and growing simultaneously. Well, that's great. I appreciate that. Dear Mac, it's distracting to hear you with the music. You sound better without any musical background. Thank you. Okay. I'll just do that right now. I backed off her. She hasn't contacted me in 3 months. Can you explain what that means? Coach Mac, can you explain what that means in a sense? I have to know the story. What's the new Western flick you're in, Tex? And you got a woman? I never talk about my personal relationships. That's one boundary I don't cross. But and what's the new Western flick you're in, Tex? I don't know. Someone just wrote that I look like I'm from a Western movie. I don't know if that means Western in the sense of a cowboy or if it just means a movie from the West. I was digging that music, relaxing. See? Some people like it, some people don't like it. I love this backup song. One thing is, one of the core things you can always come back to is you just sometimes have to get up and just go just one day. Just one day, I'm going to get through it today. Don't know if we're going to get back together. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to show up for today. And I'm going to see what happens. And sometimes that's one of the core things. All right, folks, we had 7 on deck and 2 likes. As thought before, this isn't the regular time that I'm usually on, but I appreciate the people that jumped on. LinderTube. We're supposed to share and tell all, but not you. Who's the lady? Gentleman never tells, LinderTube. I was digging the music, relaxing. Okay, folks, it's curtains.